The whole point of a dishwasher is like a cabinet to store away your filth.
Hi, I'm Andy,
And I'm Roger,
and welcome to The Middle,
where we try to have thoughtful conversations
about awkward topics.
on our search to find the middle.
We're going to give you last week's news today.
That's a slogan we should put on a t-shirt.
Stop touching her! I am tonight announcing my candidacy.
Taylor Swift.
Look, my biggest issue with marriage is that I think that it's a fundamentally flawed institution that is built on the oppression of women.
I will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny.
Having truly rational conversations about controversial issues is risky these days.
Get it, Roger.
Andy, how you doing?
Not too bad. I'm going to do a little quiz for you.
Ooh, I love it. It means I don't have to think.
All right. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and I want your most thoughtful response to each of these 3 questions.
Are they serious questions?
Oh, a little bit of both.
All right.
Okay. Number 1, do you make your bed in the morning? Number 2, do you iron your clothes? And number 3, have you updated your views about the conflict in Iran?
All right. So I'm not someone who has ever enjoyed the discipline of making my bed. And I kind of take a view of I appreciate it. I understand that from what it seems, 95% of all successful people have this weird thing about making their bed, but I am not one of them. And it's just I don't know, it's a matter of principle that I don't want to be a slave to this arbitrary task that demands only discipline but no real function. You know, like it doesn't really matter whether your bed is made. You have to get back into it I can understand if your bed's not clean, but your making of your bed serves no real purpose other than the fact that you have submitted to doing it. So no, I don't tend to make it. The only reason I do make it is either to set some kind of discipline-related example for my kids or the fact that my wife likes coming back to a bed sometimes it's made. So that's that question. Any comments?
Well, I think I'm on the same page, but I'm a bit more extreme in that under no circumstances would I ever make the bed.
Yeah, but no, okay, all right. But are you extreme in your stance of it serve, like there's no good reason to do it?
There is zero benefit to make a bed, in my opinion.
And you don't, but what about like this idea for your son to learn the discipline or responsibility of making his own bed? You don't find any value in that?
Well, I don't think you can. I don't think it's a consistent worldview to yourself see the task as completely futile and then demand that that's the thing that you're going to be like a stickler for your kids, right? Like, so you may as well pick any random task, right? So I think if you want to, instill discipline, then you choose something that you want them to carry with them for the rest of their lives rather than making one's bed, I guess.
So you don't think there's anything, and by the way, I agree with you to an extent, but like you said, you're more extreme, so I'm just trying to feel it out. There's not a part of you that understands like inherently that the discipline, the order leads to success in other avenues?
Yes and no. Like I think if you're talking about attention to detail more generally, then yes, attention to detail is actually really important. And that could be along a spectrum from anything from, hey, like, close the drawers, don't leave the drawers in the kitchen open, to like, if you're working on a document in the office and, you've left like 2 spaces in between a word or something, like they're different kinds of detail, but to me, I see them as the same thing, right? If you are someone who, I don't know if you're maybe we don't all kind of work with, Microsoft Word, but I don't know what the name of that little symbol is that shows you like the formatting, and like people, like a lot of people like get really put off by it because it puts all these marks on the page.
Oh yes, yeah.
They don't print, like they're formatting, like a space is like a little dot or something, right? It doesn't print it, but it helps you to see like what the formatting of your document is, right? Some people really freak out about having it switched on, but for me, I have to have it switched on because it gives me like a view of like all of the intricacies of a document. And so when I see shit come across my desk that's got like, even just basic things, like little things that like you probably wouldn't even notice if you're just reading it, but like, it sticks out. And so that's like, so I get that whole attention to detail thing, but again, I just don't think it's important.
All right. Well, I mean, you brought it up. You obviously don't, or maybe I shouldn't assume anything. So you go and grab something from the cutlery drawer. Do you care whether you close it?
Well, I will close the drawer, yeah.
But why?
Because it just looks shit.
Doesn't the bed look shit?
Well, I mean, I know where you're going. You're saying, well, isn't it the same thing with your bed or whatever? But like, it's an effort and reward thing, right? Like, so maybe the point with the bed is it's like actually like a lot of effort to make your bed, you know. Whereas closing a drawer is pretty easy. So the benefit, and let me take a step back. I appreciate going into a hotel room and seeing like a made bed. So it's not that I don't necessarily value a made bed, but it's the cost, like it's the input to get to that point, which is like annoying, right?
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm feeling it out. Bed, I can kind of understand, right? But I also understand that like you said, people value and have a bit of pride in it. So put it this way. I mean, you're more likely to establish a romantic atmosphere and ambience if your bed is made rather than it's just all disgusting and scrunched up, right? And I would say that there are other things in the kitchen. So I actually, even though I feel this way about making beds, and I reluctantly do it sometimes, not all the time, the people who leave dishwashers open, I have a real disdain for. And I know that is a weakness for a lot of people because I've seen it. I've gone into acquaintances and friends' kitchen and I can see that, you know, they've gone to put some dishes away, dirty dishes into the dishwasher. They've loaded it and then they've just left the door open and everything out there. And not only is it disgusting because you can see dirty plates just piled up inside the dishwasher, and the whole point of a dishwasher is like a cabinet to store away your filth, but it's also dangerous. I've literally seen people smash their shins on open dishwasher doors. You know, and that part, like, you know, that, to me, that has a bit more function. You know, it's also someone could get hurt. It's in the way, and a lot of people do that.
Well, I not to get sidetracked on dishwashers, but I think one of the reasons some people would leave a dishwasher door open is the same with like a washing machine, right? Like a clothes washing machine is like the moisture and all that can get like festy, right? So it's like it's like this idea of aerating the appliance, you know.
Come on, aerating your filth back into the house.
Well,
like, you wash it. That's the whole point. It washes itself.
I think there can be a volume thing too, right? Because sometimes if you've got like one or two plates in the dishwasher and you're not really going to do a cycle of like one or two plates, so you might leave it overnight, right? And then it's like,
you think there's some merit in leaving the door open overnight?
Yeah, because like if those plates are dirty and they're in an enclosed space, they will start to smell. And
oh man, no, I don't agree with this.
Well, I'm just trying to give the rationale.
Yeah, but it has to be taught though. Like with the kids thing, I will say that I'm torn because this kind of stuff has to be taught. Like for example, my kids, they will not close the door. Right, that's not something that comes naturally to the human race. That if you enter a door and when you leave the room, that you just naturally close it. That's not something that's something that you have to teach or embody. Hey, well, you know, have a think. Did the person in the room have the door shut and you've come into the room? Now you're leaving. Perhaps they might want the door shut again. You know, but they'll just leave. And there's 1,000 examples like that. They don't come naturally because the uncomfortable thing to say, right, because of all of this optimization culture in our zeitgeist at the moment, get it through your thick heads. Humans are lazy. They are hedonistic. This stuff needs to be taught, right? Like, and laziness is such a bad, you know, is like I guess a really bad rap in modern optimization culture. But that's the truth. Like we're all, and sometimes I feel like instead of dancing around it, just embrace it and then plan your life accordingly, right?
I want to come back to the other items on the list, but final word on making the bed. I also do think there are different kinds of beds to make, right? There's the ornate, like 3 layers of
the throw pillows,
you know, like the satin sheets, the whatever, right? Plus the next layer, plus the layer after that, plus all the pillows, plus the, you know, some even have creepy dolls or soft toys, you know, that kind of shit, right? And making like, and yes, in that case, maybe it's like a pride thing over the state of your bed, right? But like, I don't know about you, but like my bed is really utilitarian. It's like literally like pillow, like comforter, sheet, and like glass of water next.
Well, no, mine's more the ornate house proud end, right? Which is why. But I think this is also a dying culture in Western society, because I know that in the Europeans they're not down like this anymore. They even have separate quilts. I think that's a thing now. Like they have they'll have a double bed, right, or a queen bed, king bed, but they'll have one quilt or one duvet per person in the bed, which is like, to Australians that's a really fucked up concept, right? Because like, what do you do with the top sheet? And it just seems weird, right? But to have a single top sheet and then a shared top sheet, but then a single duvet, that seems really weird to me. But apparently it's super popular and it has a lot of benefits, because you don't, obviously, when your partner moves, it doesn't affect you in terms of the sheet pulling or whatever. But yeah, look, there's different things going on.
I think like a shared doona is a little bit like margarine on like a white loaf salad sandwich with ham. Like it's
what?
It's just such a boomer thing, right?
Well, you don't have it?
No.
I see. Well, I'm boomer then.
Like,
you have a single. You each have your own.
Well, it's just the obvious thing to do. Like, and it's like fighting against.
I'm disappointed in you.
Like the obvious, like it to me, it's just like fighting against common sense.
It's the perfect metaphor for what a marriage is, right? Like it's putting yourself through some kind of shared discomfort at a point of actually being together.
Come on, ironing your shirts, and I don't just mean business shirts. Let's well, maybe we can explore both. All right.
I spent the vast majority of my career until pre-COVID taking time every day to iron my business shirts, and I had those fancy Egyptian cotton ones. You looked at it the wrong way and it creased, and it took ages to iron them. And I did that for years, decades. Now I do not. Right, and it's a combination of less time in the office in a suit and formal shirt, and just getting to a point in my career where I don't have time, and I will, when I do need it, I'll dry clean some and get them pressed. Right, so I don't do it anymore, ever. I don't iron any casual clothes ever, and I just won't do it anymore. Life's too short, and it's something that I hate. I don't think anyone likes it, but I particularly hate it, and I feel resentful doing it as a corporate drone.
So do you know how sometimes women will say something like, for men it's easy, you don't have to put makeup on and do all these other kind of things, right? And then they'll say something like, it's hard as a woman because you can't just like not do it.
Yeah.
And men just don't know what it's like. And I kind of think, no, this is like the classic, perfect corollary where men have just given up and just said, fuck that shit. And generally now I think, well, I don't know what the most common situation is. I don't know, iron shirts. I don't make my bed. I definitely don't iron shirts, right? So
but you have to
I
iron some shirts.
Well, no, like you get the good ones that are like, you don't have to iron. They're like iron free and stuff.
The
like
chino,
there's some bad
like
iron
the
free.
iron free chino shirt. Is that what you mean?
Well, okay. I've had different. I don't know what they're called. They've got different names, I'm sure, but like ironless, iron free, iron whatever shirts. And some of them are a bit of a con, right? But I actually have found some good like brands that actually do. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're genuinely like you can get away with it. And they're the kind. I mean, they certainly don't have like certain. You know how sometimes you people iron in like a certain crease or something. Like obviously it doesn't have that. Like, but they're fine. Like you can get away with it. So fuck it.
Yeah. Look, I mean, old Roger would have a lot of disdain for you. Like I would have never been caught dead. I'm too much of a snob to be caught dead in a iron-free chino. Just because I feel, and maybe I'm thinking of the first generation, in our early career where iron-free pretty much meant that it was some version of like a spandex polyester shirt that looked like it would catch fire if you were too close to the radiator. It's probably a little bit different now, but that's kind of what I think of, these kind of weird, stretchy bro politics shirts that are, that are actually plastic, and that's why they're iron-free. But I guess it kind of defeats the purpose for me as well, right? Because if you are wearing a suit and tie or a shirt or whatever that needs to be pressed, then you're meant to look the part. And if you don't, then if you look slobby while going to that effort, it's like a lose-lose situation. You're already uncomfortable. You're already in a button-up shirt. Like why go half measures? right? Like, don't you think?
No, I don't think. Well, okay. I think probably for me the most compelling way to put it is this. How long do you think it takes to iron a shirt?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. All right. Let's say
One
you're
shirt,
one of
by the
these
way.
one shirt, right? Okay. So let's say you're one of these, people who get it 5 days. Let's just say 5 days in the office, but let's say you're really like into ironing and even weekends, right?
Yeah.
So that's 70 minutes a week. Okay. And then that's basically 60 hours a year
Oh, wow.
ironing.
Really?
And so over the course of a lifetime, that's the equivalent of 7 months straight ironing.
That, I mean, I need to see the equation on that because it sounds crazy. But I guess if you would run the same equation for how long you're on the toilet, it probably puts it into perspective or something, right?
Yeah, but 7 months.
Yeah, no. Hey, I mean, the real question you need to be asking yourself is: would you even ever put yourself through wearing a button-up shirt if you didn't have to for your job? That's the real question.
Do you know? So
you're doing it to get money, right?
I mean, you kind of know me, right? I'm pretty much shorts and thongs, and a t-shirt,
Business casual.
unless there's a compelling reason. You know what? I am aware, right? I am aware of how that goes down. I'm aware that when you're in certain places, well, I mean, certainly not in the workplace, right? You don't go into a workplace with shorts, thongs, and whatever. But
That kind of thong.
in some settings, or if you go, let's say you do go to the office, right, and you wear dressing a bit shabbily, I know that can make you stand out in not a good way, right?
Yeah.
But I think when I actually kind of, part of me wants to push the boundaries and defy this stuff. And maybe I've got privilege to do that. Maybe to be able to, kind of stick it to the man kind of thing about this stuff is there's a certain privilege to be able to do that. But the flip side of this too is it's actually really cheap to look good. So, and I guess what I mean by that, it's the classic sort of, you never see a poorly dressed real estate agent or used car salesman.
To my point though, Andy,
generally,
you've got to admit to me that when you think of a stretch iron-free shirt, I'm thinking about that real estate wog. Don't you think? That's in a shirt that's way too tight. There's it's skin tight, and they're in some politics, flashy suit that could be the furthest thing away from a tasteful office attire, and they're in the equivalent of skinny jeans, but for a suit. That's what I think of.
Well,
I know you're not there rocking the stretch shirt. By the way, I'm not accusing you of doing that, but you know what I mean.
Well, look, I think there's probably a different flavor to the kind of clothing that real estate agents and car salesmen use. But I guess what I'm trying to sort of get at is when you add in, I think on average, you'll find that in terms of there's a certain kind of that's a cheap investment, whether it's politics or
YD,
or whatever. It's, there's a certain investment to look smart, and I'm using smart in the colloquial sense, not the intelligent sense. There's low barriers to entry, right?
Yeah.
For that. And so I think that's why I think it's not, I think you can afford to push back a little bit on that stuff.
Yeah, and look, some of it's obviously is culture dependent, depending on your workplace, right? I started my career in a very starchy 3-piece suit environment, and so everyone wore a suit and tie. And that is really a dying breed. And I've got to say, all for the better in the Australian climate, that the fact that you make men dress up in a full suit with a tie, literally your shirt is choking you and you've got this thing wrapped around your neck like a knot, almost like a metaphorical noose. I'm glad that corporate fashion has relaxed over time. I think that has been a better thing for people.
Yeah. All right. So the third and most important question, Iran.
So have I changed my views on? I'm trying to think about what my views were.
I'm not necessarily asking you if you changed your views necessarily, as opposed to have they been updated, evolved? Has anything changed in the at the margin, if not fundamentally.
The way that I think about it is that my views on what would result in a good outcome for the Iranian people and generally the region and the Western world has not changed. My view on whether that is now the likely scenario has definitely changed, right? So I'm still back where I was when we spoke about it, where, the nuclear program, Iran's nuclear program, the ability to leverage their proxy tentacles and cause terrorism in the regions, supporting and giving aid to the Iranian people who are trying to rally against the brutality of their government, all those things, I think, and potentially even some of the more global geopolitics around isolating China and things, all those things are still there for me. But again, I would have to update. My likelihood of success has dramatically dropped, let's say. That I think that the way the chips have fallen and the momentum of it, looks pretty bad to me from where I'm sitting.
All right, so let's add some rigor and science to this. So when we discussed this, I don't even remember. I think we discussed it a couple of times, maybe. But let's just say, take collectively, the previous times we've discussed it, you didn't actually give this put a number or a score, but I'm going to just say that, let's say, for all intents and purposes, your score for the success of the intervention was a 7.5 out of 10, for example, right? So, as in, because we spoke about the, taking out the leadership and, depleting the Navy and military assets and, kind of that type of stuff, right? So let's say last time we spoke, the success of the intervention was a 7.5 out of 10, like based on how you conceived of it or described it. What would you give it now relative to that 7.5 out of 10 that you gave it before?
Oh yeah, look, I mean, it's on the Rotten Tomatoes kind of index. We've fallen down. We've fallen down. We're at
it's not fresh anymore.
No, we're at a I would struggle to give it above a 4 now, and that's purely because those big goals, the meaningful goals, are looking less and less likely, and some of the more worst case scenarios are starting to me to look like a little bit more of a reality. And so when I say worst case scenarios, I'm thinking of a prolonged stalemate, a refinancing of proxies, a clear path to rebuilding nuclear programs, and an emboldened, let's just say, military wing of the Iranian government that seems to be in charge. So those things, right? And then also, equally as important as, we're starting to see a breakdown of the Netanyahu-Trump alliance. There's been some significant leaks about that some blow-ups between them that seem to be somewhat verified. And then just general chaos in the domestic front. So, ain't looking good, bruv, as they say.
All right, well, I'm not going to press you anymore, except to say, Roger, you've demonstrated a good attribute to our audience, which is that you're not like the rest of MAGA, who...
Just because I'm wearing a red shirt right now. I still think that they're worthy goals, but
Well, no, I don't disagree about the goals. Like, I think, okay. Like, I don't think anyone's got the view that, hey, wouldn't the best thing be for like Iran to have
You're absolutely wrong there, Andy. Like, the crucial thing you've missed is that maybe what you would consider reasonable people don't hold that, but there are many commentators and people that feel
nuclear equity. Everyone needs the ball.
Yeah, very, very popular commentators are saying that left, right, and center, and that has to be acknowledged.
Well, no one's saying that Iran should have nuclear weapons.
Yeah, I mean the young Turks are.
Well, I've not heard that.
Yeah, I've got plenty of clips I can send you.
I'm not.
And these aren't underground people. They're people with millions on their platform.
I have not heard anyone say, "Hey, Iran needs nuclear weapons." Like, I'm not.
Yeah, the kind of Candace Owen, Young Turk people are saying that you need it because that's what would stop all the killing.
Hang on, but Candace Owens, hardly in.
where are you living? She is a force in that side of the culture.
Yeah.
These aren't just fringe people anymore.
I guess they're mentally deranged people, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Well, that's good. Well, we've solved all of the world's problems: ironing shirts, making bed, and Iran.
And a call out, just while we're on
conflict
it, while we're dunking. Trump getting a pardon for all taxation audits for him and his family. Absolutely scandalous.
Well, but isn't now this has been overturned?
Oh, has it? I mean, the last I heard.
I haven't got the specifics, but what I understand is that he's that whatever $1 trillion fund
that's
or whatever.
Yeah, that's been overturned. So the slush fund for anyone who's had wrongdoing and legal prosecution by the government, that's been shut down. But he has walked away with essentially an immunity.
Okay, he's still
a personal immunity for him and his family.
But I thought that was also a little bit like ambiguous, like exactly what it was, because they walk it back or something, some of the messaging of it was a bit confused, where they started off saying never ever, like, and they say, oh wait, actually that's not what we.
I think they should just make that as a rule now, because whether as a Biden style, I'm gonna pardon my son for anything he may or may have not done now, but also into the future. I just kind of think let's just give him a pass. It's the world's most stressful job. Maybe it's going to end up that way anyway, through pardons and all this kind of immunity. Let's just create the bubble. You and your direct. It's like a family and friends discount, all right, on the American people. You go in an office, you serve the time. It probably takes 10 to 15 years off your life, and you walk away with it with some kind of immunity. I
do think in a future episode we should cover, should the Democrats prosecute Trump and his family
again, or in the future,
when have justice for the last 2 years, basically.
Very hard to reclaim a crypto wallet, my friend. Very, very hard.
Well, yeah. All right, over and out.